let me say a special good morning to our listeners. Those of you via K105, good morning. What is 105.5 or 105.9? Good Wednesday morning to you. Those of you viewing GBN TV, whether it's Channel 7, Channel 11, or Channels 20, good morning. Let's say good morning also to our social media followers. Those, whether you're viewing, listening via our Facebook page, good morning, or our YouTube channels, good morning, and welcome to another edition of To The Point. I'm your host, GT. I'll be with you until it's 10 a.m. this morning. And I do have guests in studio with me this morning. Let me go over and say good morning to Mr. Keville. How are you doing this morning? Actually, I've given all your names. It's something a little bit inappropriate, me just saying Keville. Should I give it to Mr. Keville Frederick? Good morning to you. And welcome to another edition of To The Point. How are you doing this morning, sir?
Not bad. GD, I am doing pretty fine.
Yeah.
Just in some high spirits.
Well, that's good. You know, high spirits is good. It keeps your momentum up. You understand? It certainly keeps your momentum up and keep you abreast of things what's going on.
Sure.
Because when you're down, it's a whole different situation altogether. Well, this morning we want to talk about, of course, dengue fever. That is seemed to be, of course, very prevalent right now. Mm-hmm. For some reason or the other, it seemed to be the talk on the street when everybody talks about dengue. Let's kick the conversation off this morning. Give me some stats about dengue in Grenada right now. Where we at in terms of dengue in Grenada right now?
Okay. Well, first, let me say again thanks to GBN for hosting us this morning. And also thank you to your viewing and listening audience for welcoming us into their homes, and into their private spaces, so that we can share with them valuable information as it relates to dengue. Your question was that of statistics, and let me say off the bat that how we operate is that we collect data on a daily basis, weekly basis.
Okay.
Now, and we have something called the Epi Week, which is Epidemiology Week number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go right up.
Okay.
So I am able to give you some statistics now, which basically would be statistics from our last Epi Week.
Okay.
And why I'm saying that is because
how do the Epi Week run? How does it run?
Okay, so every week we collect data that is notifiable diseases, illness, for example, dengue. Our doctors out there in the respective clinics, as well as private doctors or nurses and so on, they are able to detect or diagnose. We also do testing.
Okay.
And so there is a reporting mechanism whereby you will feed that information to the surveillance department in the Ministry of Health, which falls under the Epi unit.
Okay.
Now, that information is then plugged into our system.
All right.
So we can track progression of the disease. We can also extrapolate information there and summarize whatever we need to summarize. We share that information likewise with the Caribbean Public Health Agency, that is CARFA. Okay. We share that information likewise with the Pan American Health Organization, that's PAHO. And we also share it with a number of stakeholder groupings on island. So you would find not just individuals, but for example, the Medical Association, they would feed into that, meaning that they would get a copy of the report so they can see the trend.
All right.
So that way, and I'm making that point because recently I was asked to, just give some information to a young lady, and, she was a bit hesitant. And then I said, the ministry don't go out there and just sniffing data. I said, it's when people like yourself go to the doctor, and then that information is fed to us. So the information that we're picking up is information that comes from the public, because we
right.
sit in an office.
I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, if nobody visits a doctor, nobody goes to the clinic or visit, you actually would know what's going on.
Exactly.
You've been hear word on the street. Everybody
Exactly.
having a call, and everybody, if somebody's having these symptoms and they're sick, and it's not reported from the doctors and the various clinics and so forth, then
Exactly.
the ministry would not have any information knowing exactly what's going on.
Exactly.
So that's understandable.
And that's why we always say confirmed or reported cases, because reported meaning that we were duly notified.
All right.
And so we can plug in that information because it came from a recognizable source, a source that is bona fide, and so to speak.
And credible.
And credible.
All right.
So last week, our data indicated or revealed that we had a total of 39 cases. Of that amount, 10 were hospitalized.
Okay.
Now, the previous week, and so I'm talking about the previous week was Epi Week number 18, and last week was Epi Week number 19. So
Okay.
this week would be Epi Week number 20, I think.
Okay.
Now, yeah. So in Epi Week number 18, we had 20 cases, right? 10 were hospitalized, 3 were listed as critical, and I recalled one of the critical cases had to be specially managed at the ICU unit, that is the intensive care unit. So it means that that person had to be watched 24/7.
That is when you get to severe dengue.
That's the point. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it's like
I mean, I'll read up on it, so I get.
yeah, you know. So it
we
was,
get to severe dengue.
and severe dengue, as we know, is life-threatening.
Yeah.
So once you're in the ICU, that's when we say all guns blazing, right? And it means that we have to monitor you because your vitals can drop, well, you read up on it, so you actually know why it is listed as
When
severe
you
dengue.
get to that level, that
what
particular
needs to
level.
happen.
Okay, I'm getting
So for Epi Week number 20, we will have that information to make available to our stakeholders during the course of the day. Most likely around mid-morning to like around, just after lunch, because we need to plug in all of the information. And I can tell you too that we are doing testing. We test on island, but we also do reference testing. That's done at the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CAFA, that's in Trinidad. One of the reasons why we do that is to determine the strain, right? Because there are 3 or 4 different types of dengue,
Okay.
right? So we need to ascertain which one is circulating currently. So that information, can also be made available later today.
All right, that's interesting. I was always thinking dengue is dengue.
No.
Or somebody complained, I have dengue fever, and that's it. No, when from a ministry standpoint, when does it become worrisome in terms of the stats?
That's an excellent question. And yesterday I had a meeting with my colleagues, and that's in the health promotion unit, and we zeroed in on that, and that's something I keep pounding so that people out there can really grasp what I'm saying. Now, as we speak, it is worrisome.
Yes.
And when does it really get to that point? Is when we see a major spike. Now, dengue is endemic in Grenada, meaning that it is always present. Zika is endemic,
Yes.
because we have Zika, we have
Chikungunya
chikungunya,
and all,
so these things are always there. However, for the last 13 years, the average cases has been very, very minimal, right? I'm talking about things like under 5 and so on. So it was not really cause for concern then, so to speak.
Okay.
However, we have noticed a trend, and I'm just putting up some statistics here, so that I could, tell you exactly why we had to get to that point. But if you was to put it in context, remember in week 18 we had 20,
Yes.
and then in week
19.
19 it
That's
had
it.
almost doubled,
Doubled up.
right?
Okay. You said 39, almost getting to 40.
Right.
Okay.
So it tells you how quickly the numbers are climbing. And I have the information here. So for the last 13 years, as I indicated, it was relatively low, right? That's based on our 13-year average. However, in 2023, it has spiked. And because of that spike now, it means that a number of different strategies and interventions must be brought forward to address the situation.
Okay.
Now, what we've noticed, interestingly, likewise, is that the age groups that are predominantly affected are the 25 to 44 and the 24 to 15. So I'm coming back down here, and I did that deliberately because I wanted you to see what is going on. And then you have the 14 to 5.
All right.
So, what we've noticed is that the productive sectors of our economy currently are the ones who are
most
affected. Yeah.
And that becomes a problem.
That is a big problem, because when you find people within that bracket who are unable to function, who are unable to work and so on, it has a ripple effect on
the economy.
The economy.
Because folks may be not able to go to work.
Exactly.
Even though someone feels physically okay, they may not be as productive as they used to, because, what some of the symptoms that we see, the pains and aches and stuff like that, you may not function properly on your workplace.
And some people may have to be off for like about 2 weeks or so. If you are daily paid,
becomes a problem for you.
It becomes a problem for you and your family, because you would have dependencies and so on. So that's the seriousness of what we are dealing with now, and why we are so much speaking about it is because we understand what can happen now if the scientific trajectory holds true based on what we are seeing now. And I'm saying that for our audience here to understand that there's something that we need to bear in mind. There's an incubation period for the disease.
Yes.
So you might be infected, and not everybody will show signs and symptoms at the same time.
Or maybe the same symptoms at the same
Well,
time.
that too. So what would happen is that during the incubation period, you might be feeling fine. Yesterday, I used an example. I said, we are like sitting ducks, because the virus is spread when an uninfected mosquito bites an infected person, and then that mosquito travels and it bites you. So let's put this into context here. Example, if we have, say, a couple of teachers from St. Andrew, and I'm saying St. Andrew because St. Andrew is the epicenter as we speak, with 60% of our cases coming out from St. Andrew.
Okay.
St. Mark is 10%, St. Patrick is 10%, St. John is 10%, St. George's is 10%. That's what we're seeing right now.
Okay.
Now, so as I was saying, if there are teachers, hypothetically speaking, who work in, let us say, a school in St. George, so school A, and a mosquito, no, and that teacher is infected because they could be within the incubation stage, right? And that teacher is infected but does not know as yet because they're not manifesting any signs and symptoms, nothing. But and jokingly here, a tongue mosquito, right? Yeah. A tongue mosquito bites that person, and it bites a child in the class afterwards now. So it would have become infective by biting that teacher who is carrying that virus in them now, and then it will move on to bite a child, bite another child, bite another child, and that's what happens. So technically, or in layman's language, that person was the carrier then.
All right.
And then now they would have passed on that to the mosquito, who then becomes the secondary carrier or primary carrier in that place, in this case, because it is now biting others.
Other people.
And there's a misconception that mosquitoes can only bite you once. That is not true.
All right. All right. Because one of the questions I wanted to ask you also, in terms of dengue, can dengue be spread from person to person?
No, it's
So
not.
if I have dengue and you come in close proximity, I cannot give
No,
you.
no.
Dengue can only be spread by you bitten by a mosquito.
That's correct.
All right.
And that's why we are asking the public at large to do all they can to prevent mosquito breeding. Because no mosquito, you have no dengue. That's the only way it can be transmitted.
I was a little concerned also because we had this prolonged dry season.
All right.
You understand? And most time individuals may think only time you get mosquitoes is when the rainy season is out, more water is being settling and so forth. But I understand now. So some folks someone was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they was telling me, well, how come we not having all the rain and all this unnecessary settling of water, and how come we having an outbreak of dengue?
That's a very, very good question. And so let me, because we also have some PSAs that addresses that. And luckily,
I want you to put a cap on that because we drew for a break. Let's take it, and when we come back, so you can get your notes together. When we come back, we talk about that.
No problem.
Hey, folks, it's to the point for today, Wednesday. Let's take a break, folks. We're coming right back. Stay with us.
Do you know, when you play the games of the National Lotteries Authority, you are supporting sports, culture, and nation building in Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Macnic?
Hi, I am Junior Murray, cricket coach, sports enthusiast, and a former West Indies cricketer. I endorse the games of the NLA 100%. For the past 40 years, the NLA has been funding many sporting activities, including competition for schools and clubs, and for athletes to participate in overseas tournaments such as the Carifta Games and regional cricket tournaments. Additionally, they made it possible for you, the public, to view local, regional, and international tournaments from the comfort of your homes. For those reasons, I play the game of the NLA. Even if I do not win, I know Grenada always wins.
Yes, when you play all the games, the NLA in turn supports sports, culture, and nation-building activities throughout the Tri-Island state.
On Saturday, July 29, Montrouge Plainfield will be transformed into a sea of grills as food, fun, and friends collide. It's the 10th annual Maggie King of the Grill competition. The best chef and barbecue kings and queens compete for cash, a new grill, and the title of Maggie King of the Grill. Come savor the flavors. Try to bust the ice cold bar and let the kids have their way in the bouncing castles, pony rides, slides, and games. Try your hand at dominoes or the beer and leg competition and win instant cash. Come 7 p.m. you go stateside to enjoy performances from top local acts. It's a whole evening of fun at the Maggie King of the Grill, Saturday, July 29 at the Montrouge Plainfield. Gates open from 12 noon. $10 get you on the inside. Powered by Maggie, Hot 98, and GBN Television.
On Caribbean Passport, it's time to tour St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Planning a destination wedding? Well, Barbados is more than a beach getaway. And let's enjoy delicious cuisine from Chef Chris De La Rosa, right here on this station.
Let me say welcome back to our listeners and viewers this morning. Here with me this morning we have Mr. Keville Frederick with me. He's a public information and communication. Was he the extra detail there?
It's right.
Public information and communication
Officer, yes.
Officer.
Yeah.
All right. From the Ministry of Health. And we talking this morning. We talking about dengue. And before the break, you were getting to give me some information why when I asked a question, pertaining to dengue being spread from person to person. And you were going to give me some stats on that, which I would like you to continue.
Right. So let me see. Yes, we didn't have all that many showers, but intermittently, we did have some showers. Now, bear in mind likewise that the mosquito does not need a whole day of rain for it to really for its eggs rather
Or the larvae
to hatch. Yeah.
perform.
Now, and I hope that your viewers will listen to this very, very carefully. Now, mosquitoes, and that's the Aedes aegypti mosquito we're speaking about. It. That's the one with the black and white
legs.
stripes,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
And first of all, they bite. They are a day biting type of mosquito. They don't really bite you at night. The one that comes singing in your ears, that's nuisance mosquitoes.
Right.
So the day biters, they bite 2 hours at sunrise and 2 hours before sunset.
Okay, that's interesting. I never knew that.
Yes. They also love dark places. But it's a very tricky beast. It can lay up to about 100 eggs each time, right, in its lifetime. Okay? That's one little mosquito.
100 eggs.
Yeah. Now, interestingly is that the eggs can stay dormant, right, in dry conditions for up to 8 to 9 months. How many of us can really survive without water for a week?
That's interesting.
Right.
So maybe that's why we get in that,
Right,
that
yeah.
spike.
So now
thinking that
exactly.
conditions are not favorable for
Yeah.
mosquitoes. As we always think as individuals going over the years, you always think, well, we leave water settle in and so forth. That's when the mosquito will go into whatever
Right.
container they lay the eggs and it forms and then it starts to bite. But you know, saying the correct approach for that what we may not have known is that mosquito could lay its eggs, and you're saying it could be there for up to 9 months.
Up to 9 months.
9 to 9 months.
Now, when a little water comes, the eggs will just start to hatch. And it takes a maximum of 7 days, just 1 week,
Okay.
for it to move from the larvae stage to an adult mosquito.
Yeah.
Just 7 days. So it stays in dry conditions for up to 9 months. But in 7 days, you can get a biter.
All right.
And that is the funny thing about that beast. And that's why the WHO listed mosquito as the most dangerous animal in the world because of that point. Likewise, it carries Zika virus, dengue virus, chikungunya. Mosquito also carries malaria and so on, yellow fever. So just think of that little insect, as you would say, it has that deadly potential.
And no wonder you said before, it's also a concern from the ministry in terms of the particular strain that we're getting.
Very much so.
Things evolve all the time.
That's right.
And could be the adult mosquito when they lay the eggs, you never know what it may have caused the others to hatch and pick up itself. All right, that's an interesting bit of information there. Now let's talk about dengue. Cause. Well, the cause is basically, we already spoke about the cause, which is the mosquito bite. That's only how you can get in contact with dengue.
Yep.
Only if you've been bitten by a mosquito.
Correct.
Right? And as you rightfully said, there's no person to person spread of dengue. So being in the same room with somebody who has the dengue, that cannot happen to you. That's great. Treatments.
Okay, so treatments basically are symptomatic treatments, meaning that when you go to your doctor, and we have been speaking to our pharmacists likewise, because people would take quite a number of different things. We know, for example, a number of people will self-medicate. Yeah. People will turn to the bush and so on. But for treatment, what we advise is that first and foremost is that you see your doctor.
Yeah.
And
that's encouraged 100%.
Yeah. We discourage the use of ibuprofen. Yeah. But we advise you, so things like Panadol and so on, because it is really to treat the symptoms. Now, of course, we also encourage you to ensure that you have a healthy immune system. You get your rest, drink plenty of water, and water is important because you will become dehydrated because of the fever. The fever does be so intense that you will really feel burning up. So then, water is very, very, very important in you treating dengue fever. And so we also encourage you to boost your immune system, as I said, eat your vitamins, eat your local fruits, and veggies and so on will also help you. But the number one thing we encourage is that you see your doctor, because why too? You may have certain underlying conditions that your doctor knows, quite much about, and he would say, okay, you know what? Well, you take this instead. Don't take that, right? So, treatment, yes, there is treatment. As I said, we encourage Panadol, but we don't encourage things like ibuprofen, and there are medical reasons for that. I do not wish to speak too much about it, because just in case someone asks a question, I may not be able to really provide all of the details. But Dr. Donald had spoken about it recently. I know GBN had also carried that, and the information is there. You can go up on our Facebook page and get that information likewise. Yeah. So I would say that what we do advise, our number one advice, is that if you do come down with signs and symptoms of the condition, you visit your nearest health facility or your private personal physician.
Right. I should have asked you this before we went to the treatment, but tell me what else individuals should look for in terms of the symptoms of having dengue. There are various symptoms that dengue presents.
Quite a lot.
And people may think, well, I may just having a regular headache this morning. Could be, I may not be. You understand? As you said, should you encourage people to visit a doctor to make sure that is what you actually have? I guess that various tests will be done. So let's talk a wee bit about the symptoms of dengue that folks should look out for.
So, you can have joint pains, right? Muscle pain. I mentioned fever earlier. The dehydration will be brought about by the fever, but it's more like a secondary type, meaning that after you get a fever, then that's when you will start to see an increased need for water because you become thirsty. Yes. So you have bone pain, you have back pain as well. Interestingly, too, you also get eye pain in the back of the eyes, like as if your eye want to jump out of its socket. Headaches, right? Nausea, or vomiting and so on, and skin rashes, right? So these are the common signs and symptoms, that persons should really.
But would everyone be experience those same symptoms? Would everyone experience those symptoms? Or
Well,
it varies depending on individual personal.
That too. Yes.
All right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
No,
and let me say that too. The symptoms can last for as much as 2 to about 7 days, right? Now, most people will recover after about a week, but remember I said too, depending on your current physical state, right, it may be debilitating on you at some point in time.
All right.
Yeah.
And you may not feel as sick as someone else.
Right.
Because of your physical well-being.
And getting plenty of rest too is also important.
Right. Yeah. Now let's talk about dengue prevention. How can individuals prevent themselves from getting dengue? Well, we know the mosquito is one of the key way of getting it. But preventative measures that individuals should take in terms of getting.
Okay.
I mean, in terms of your surroundings and all of that, what should individuals be doing to prevent themselves from getting dengue?
Okay. Before I go to that, just please permit me to speak about the severe symptoms.
Go right ahead.
All right?
Go right ahead.
So there are warning signs of severe dengue, which you usually would begin within 24 to 48 hours of the fever, right? That's after the fever goes away. And these will include things like severe abdominal pain. It will also include mild to severe vomiting at least 3 times in 24 hours. Bleeding from the nose and the gums, right? If you are vomiting blood and so on, or even if you're passing blood in your stool, that could be an indication. And so you see why testing is important here.
Well, but most of those cases is if you have underlying problems, you would say, when it becomes severe. Is it also a cause of underlying problems you may be having?
It could also be that, but and interestingly, GD, that's why we ask for the testing, and we say to visit your health practitioner, because they may have a file on you already, and so we know, okay, well, it's not that, but it's that, and they will be able to actually treat you accordingly.
Okay.
Right? So hence the reason why we we advise you to see your medical care provider so that they will make that best call on you before you just start to and just run. Okay, so I know a friend, her call pharmacy,
I have
and
these
then
symptoms, give me something.
Yeah.
And I think I have dengue.
Right.
Give me this one.
Yeah. And then even to rapid breathing and thing, and if you become pain and like you're having like cold skin, these are some of the symptoms of severe.
All right.
dengue.
Interesting. Well, I was asking you in terms of the preventative measures
Yes.
that individuals should take.
Which I am going to get to right away. First of all, we ask you to get rid of all mosquito breeding sites. By that we mean looking around your home and in your yard, your environment, ensuring that containers are not left to gather water just indiscriminately.
Yeah.
So you clean your surroundings, right? Because there's a very common phrase that we use in that standing water left alone keeps mosquito close to home.
Okay.
So if the mosquito finds water, that's what it wants, right?
And if it's in close proximity to your home,
Right.
it's going to stick around.
Right. So look for mosquito breeding sites in and around your home. Your septic tank can be broken. Seal it off. We have dish rack drainers, West drainers as we call it. And some people may not think, well, mosquitoes will be here. But imagine whenever you wash your waste, you just turn it on. And it is oftentimes your waste drainer is very close to your sink.
Yes.
So there is an intricate link right there between water and that becoming a receptacle. And remember, it only takes a few days. So now you might be a busy person. If you are a bachelor, for example, and you hardly get time to really do, them things.
The extensive cleaning and
Exactly.
So you put your dishes there and you're gone.
Yeah.
A couple of days you come back and you realize
Mosquito biting you, and you might be treating outside, but the source is inside. Now, some people may have washing machines and so on that may not be properly covered, and it might be faulty. So water is in there. Even to the rims of buckets and so on. Old tires in your yard, styrofoam cups, boxes. We have a practice in Grenada whereby we would gather bottles, like carry bottle, and then because we want to make an extra $1. But it's just in the yard sitting like that. Now, why don't you turn it down inside of the crate rather than leaving it up so that water can get into it?
And remain there for a lengthy time.
Right. And even people who will use drums and so on, they have drums in the back of the homes or in front, and it's not covered. Yeah? So we ask you to cover your drums because it is an essential container. Non-essential containers, get rid of it or dry it properly, clean it, dry it, and turn it down.
Okay.
Right? Tire shops, we have a major issue with tire shop owners and garages. We are forced to serve notices on them. And I want to say that we are rigorously pursuing that. We are not pursuing the tire dealers as if to say, well, we are anti-tire dealers. No, but we are dealing with a serious issue because repeatedly we keep speaking to these services providers. All we ask of you is that whenever you change a tire, or even if you bring in new tires, cover the tires.
Yeah.
We know that you will not be able to take your tires to the landfill every day or every week, but cover it because you have to make up a load. It may cost you a lot to actually take it to the landfill.
And you don't want to just get rid of one or two tires. They would have to acquire a couple, something enough to make a particular trip.
Right. So all we're asking you to do is cover them. Don't leave it exposed in the elements because, well, it is your property. Here why. The law says that whether it is your property or not, if you are the occupier, like a tenant, or you are the owner, the breeding of mosquitoes on your premises is forbidden. Full stop. It doesn't give you a choice. It is forbidden. And what can happen is that an environmental health officer or a vector control officer can serve you notice once. He is not obligated in law to serve you a second notice. If he finds one mosquito breeding on your premises after that, you can be charged $250 in the first instance and as a repeat offender, as you would say, or meaning subsequently, $500, right? So that's what the law says. It's not me. The law was there since 1952, I think.
But you don't think the penalty is that strong enough?
No, I don't think so, honestly.
Because I think that is very lenient for somebody. I'll pay a $250.
I do agree with you.
I'll pay a $500 and it doesn't matter.
It's a conversation that we've had in the ministry among our peers, and we think that there needs to be a revision of it, and that the penalty should be much more stiffer.
All right. Tell me what are some of the concerns, before we take that break or another break, tell me what are some of the concerns that the ministry is having in terms of dengue and individuals, how they're managing it and stuff. What are some of the
our primary concern is adherence to the message, adherence to the preventative measures. I'll tell you this. We went visiting a person's home in St. Andrew.
Yeah.
Her daughter, right, had dengue. Is recovering from dengue, and in the back of her home, she had a drum there with water. A mosquito. When you knock it, you're seeing all of the regulars, and we telling her, "But look, this is the problem." Well, I didn't know that, but I just use the container. So what you want me to do? What we need you to do is to empty it.
Yes.
Right. Clean it properly. Put on a cover on it, like them mesh and then or cloth, and then you will be able to use water from it. But if you leave it exposed like that, what do you think is going to happen? And then
you just give an example of how it spreads.
Right.
You understand?
So we are having resistance, and that's one of our biggest challenge. We're having resistance from homeowners. Farmers, they do keep drums, as in the land and so on, for watering and so on. But we ask them to also cover it, right? We are trying to move away from the everyday treatment, whereby we come in and just put BTI in your water. It is your responsibility to protect yourself and to ensure that there are no mosquito breeding. Now, it costs government quite a lot of money. That money can be channeled elsewhere, maybe to address things like chronic disease and so on, right? Or even preventative medicine in another discipline. But when we have to be spending money to pay officers to go out there and come and treat water,
that you could have taken care of yourself.
Just by simply putting a cover on it. Yeah, I don't think it is making sense at all. And we are forced to really, to implement and enforce the law as much as we can. So I know that in the coming weeks and months, and possibly days, GBN will hear stories that the ministry served notice and who was pulled before the court and so on. But we have to do what we need to do in order to prevent the spread of that. So this is our number one challenge. People are not willing to adopt to positive behavior change interventions, like covering your water.
But is it that individuals don't know, or they just don't practice it?
I honestly believe that they just don't practice it. Because, and why I'm saying that, when we go out, so our vector control officers, kudos to them. They do a marvelous job. They don't just go and fork or don't just go and treat. They engage you. I've had the experience of moving around with them, and they will ask you, so do you know about dengue? And all of the answers comes back positive. Yes, I know. Do you know how it spread? Yes, I know. Do you know what mosquito? Yes, I know. Do you know that I'm keeping water liquid? Yes, I know. Why aren't you treating it? And then they start to script. Well, I doesn't have. So they make excuses. So I don't honestly think that the message has not reached them. I think it is just
the everyday practices is not being adhered to.
Yeah. And that is the crux of the matter here.
All right. Let's take a break. We're coming right back, folks. We're also going to take your phone calls. If you do have a question or two you'd like to ask Keville, feel free to do so when we come back in the next segment. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio. We're coming right back.
see me the wink eye, then you have things like man, you must come back, you know. We have the low power that.
When you push your jump, it is kind of like the same man, and it's just different name for the same kind of thing.
And last but not least, I just want to say to all the men who saw me, call me, and ask for a piece of cake, I'm baking this weekend.
Join us Fridays at 8 on GBN Television, K105 FM, GBN's Facebook page, and YouTube channel for We Culture.
It is important.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. It's to the point for today, Wednesday, the 24th day of May. With me this morning, we have Mr. Keville, Frederick with me this morning. We promised to entertain your phone calls in this segment. Let's go to the phone line and see our very first caller this morning. Caller, good morning, and how are you?
Hi, good morning.
Yes, caller, good morning. Go right ahead. Caller, good morning.
Good morning.
Caller, good morning. Go right ahead with your contribution, please.
Good morning.
Caller, it seems that something is probably wrong with your phone, because I think all is well on my side for some reason or the other. So it's probably there's a problem on the caller's end. 435-2041. Let's go back to the phone line. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Yes, Mr. Telesford. Mr. Telesford, I'm often hearing some people who talk in the health sector mentioning something that I really want to know what it is. They're talking about underlying conditions. But you could never know what those conditions are. Can I know what these underlying conditions are and where do they apply? Because you have to know because that person died because of this, because they had underlying conditions, but you never know what the conditions are.
All right, thank you, caller. Thank you for your question this morning. I think that's kind of self-explanatory. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's about. So let's go back to the phone line. Caller, good morning. Welcome. Good morning to you, caller.
Yeah, morning, Mr. Frederick, and morning, CT. I think Mr. Frederick, and along with the two people that was on GBN earlier in the week, have helped to clarify a number of inconsistency or lack of a level of ignorance among our people. One of it is that dengue only happens when you have much rain. I think that was very, very good of both him and the two people that was on GBN. Because a few days before, I was explaining to an intelligent person who worked in the health sector, although the person is retired now, explaining to the person that there's this outbreak of dengue in the country, and the person was kind of querying that how come we don't have no rain and that kind of thing. So the idea that it could have the eggs there, and once a little rain come, that could be the reason why you could have the problem. And I think that was good. The other thing about it that they said is that the law, if people know that they could be prosecuted, and if prosecuted, it will help. Because I was talking to another educated person also, and they didn't know there was a law. So when Mr. Frederick said that he believed that it's about they don't practice, people don't. This is true. We know what we have to do. But we live selfish life. We just don't care. We don't care whether we cause other people's death. And so we must be held accountable. So let me I have two suggestions. One is this. We need to simplify the issue. That dengue is something that is real. It is something that you can lose your life, because I have somebody there who died from this situation. I still haven't overcome that after about 2 years or so. So we need to really get people to understand that prevention is better than cure, and taking responsibility is the key. And don't wait until the rain season and then expect the government to come and spray and losing, because the spraying thing has its own problem. Because while we could use spraying to help to manage, it creates another problem in terms of respiratory problem. It creates a problem that the effect of the chemical on people. So we need to do, as he said, if there's no thing for no mosquitoes, no dengue mosquitoes, there's no no dengue. So we need to minimize, although I have said it previously, We need to forget the idea of trying to eradicate mosquito. Mosquito will always be there. What we need to do is to manage to the level that we could live and the mosquito could survive, to continue to live. Thanks.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your country. Of course, the caller gives some relevant information there in terms of what he said.
I do agree with him 500%. He is on the ball and he is absolutely correct. So I just want to say thanks to the caller and also, thanks for encouraging us to do what we can. Thank you so much, caller.
All right, we do have another caller. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Telesford. I'm so glad this morning that we have someone explaining to us about the dangers of this mosquito. A few months ago, I've been calling on the radio station called Health Solid Waste to see where around the Dunfermline area, around the Dunfermline River, garbage like old fridges, all these things pack up there, and I know that can help with the creation of these mosquitoes. I've begged. At one time, we couldn't even pass there to go to Boulogne because the person who dumped the garbage dumped it straight in the road. There are old fridge, other machineries, mattresses, cups, all kind of garbage, bottles, everything. I feel that our people are not, I can't say they're not concerned because it would be dangerous for all of us. But we need to continue educating them about how to dispose of the garbage. Even over going up from that place where this primary school is in Paradise there. The people throw garbage all over their children in the school there. Near Progress Park, if you go up that road there, you would see. So could we continue to educate the people or put a cut? The man said $500, that's not enough. Jail them. So then they would know that they would not throw garbage all about like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution there this morning. And, it's you did mention that, leaving items, garbage, as the caller mentioned, that is one of the ways that could cause mosquito to breed and, of course, even increase the level of the mosquito population around.
Yeah, and caller, thank you for the information. I noted it, and I will pass the information on to my colleagues as well. But interestingly, I sympathize with you and the residents up there because what hurts me, GT, most of the people who are doing that, they are being paid to take your garbage to the landfill. But they just dump it in the river, dump it in the bush anyway, carelessly. And indiscriminate dumping is one of the causes of mosquito proliferation. Yeah. And so that's why I said we need, and I agree with the caller, the penalties needs to be reviewed and enforced. Thank you so much, caller.
Certainly agree with that. Let's entertain another caller. Caller, good morning, welcome. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Hello, good morning. You hear me?
Caller, go right ahead, please.
Yeah, well, now I have two questions. Now, it have two different mosquitoes. When I mean two different mosquitoes, now we have the male and the female mosquito, and the one that bites you on your skin. Which one swell your skin? I want to know if it's the male or the female. And the next question that, you have some people that the roof is leaking. Sometimes some of them put a container or some bowl to collect water, and this bowl or container slip right through until they light with all the water until that they empty out it on morning time. This is an issue to the people who is sleeping on night time and collect this water from the roof. Have a good morning.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution also.
He made a very valid point in that some people will put things really stop leaks, leaky pipes. Now he mentioned also too about the roof. That is possible, and because we have seen that in certain places where we had visited, and again the busy lifestyle, and for some people, if it is not filled, I'm not bothering to really take it out.
Take it out there for now.
But remember, it may take some time. Okay, so if you get rain now, and water comes and settles in it, and we don't get any rain for the next 2 weeks, we don't bother to really check on it because why? It's not filled.
You know, Phil.
But there you have it.
It's no
breathing inside of your
water will there remain and water.
And he is on point with that. And also, caller, it's the female mosquito that is really creating a problem, because remember, it has to bite and get blood to bring back for its eggs. So that's how it really works. It's the female mosquito that is the biter here that is creating a problem for us.
A question I want to ask in terms of the prolonged effects of dengue. What's the prolonged effects from dengue in terms of you coming into contact with it? I'm just saying it for general information. Is there an issue where you can have prolonged problems after getting dengue?
Well, medically, I was looking at some information, and what came over is that So when we were growing up, we heard that like for example, if I get chicken pox once, I can't get it again. That too is something that we want people to understand. No, if you get a strain now and then you get a different strain some other time, that could actually have a ripple effect on you going forward. So that's one.
One could overpower the other.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
So it's not correct to say I have it once, so I am immune. That does not happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a question from someone online, and they're asking this question, and the question is, why the foggers? Of course, the foggers fog while people are out and about in the neighborhood, and fogging harmful to humans, and should they fog while people are inside, or warn the public before, and they will fog and so forth. I'm trying to get the question presently, but I'm thinking what they're trying to say: when individuals come out to fog, why are they fogging when individuals are inside, and also why do they are fogging when individuals are out and about?
Okay, so
and they're saying that the smell is unpleasant and stuff like that, which is understandable.
Yeah. Okay. So GT, let me say this to the person here, and I'm going to read from the fogging schedule, and this is a standard thing we always do. I can tell you, I have been doing that for many years now. For the last 20 years, this is how our information will be put up. Now, so we always say we are appealing to the public to cooperate, right, with our fogging team whenever they go out there. Importantly, persons with respiratory difficulties such as asthma are again reminded to stay away from the fog or inform the fogging team of their respiratory conditions. Beekeepers are also asked to inform the team of any beekeeping activities in the areas to be fogged. And that's why we put all the information ahead of time.
Okay.
So you could have time to call into the department
and say, maybe you should bypass this area for whatever reason.
Thank you very much. No. And so why sometimes we go into areas, right? And we ask you to open up your homes so that the fog can enter and kill the adult mosquito. It's the adult mosquito that will transmit the dengue.
Okay.
So we have to let the fog come through the house, open up your doors and windows, and it will knock down because it does not have a residual effect. Meaning that when I fog, it will stay on the surface of your counter, and if a mosquito fly in half an hour and it gets into contact with it, it's going to...
It doesn't really work
No, it doesn't work that way. It's a kind of an instant thing, like.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
So that's why we do encourage people to open up your home and windows.
So the fog comes through, the mosquito gets killed, and the fog goes out, and that's it.
Now, we always get that concern from people out there about, the stench, and we also have... people always express concerns about how toxic it is. Now, we do understand that. However, I can assure you, caller, I can assure the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique that we use a safe quantity, right? It has to be accurately measured. Yes, it is not going to really cause any harm to you like that. However, we do encourage you to keep away. We always say to people, children in particular, they are attracted to it, and we always tell them, do not run in the fog. Again, we do not know what underlying conditions you may have, right? But we use a safe dosage, and so to speak, that is monitored and we ensure that whenever we do that, because we follow the guidelines of WHO, PAHO, CAFA, Bureau of Standards, and we ensure that our mixing is accurately done, so it does not really cause any harm to the people out there.
All right, let's take another call. Guess we lost that caller there. I'm seeing another question online is saying, is inhaling the fog harmful to humans? And we have overweight. We have the overweight, the harm caused by inhaling the fog against the harm caused by the possible mosquito bite. I guess he's concerned about the fog and the mosquitoes. Does it overweight any of the other?
Well, as I indicated just a minute ago, we use safe levels, and if you have respiratory conditions, of course, it's like if you are asthmatic and someone is born in bush or so on,
it will affect you.
Yeah. So the same thing will happen. So that's why we ask people to actually stay away. But from research, it is not something that really creates that alarming
concern.
Concerns for that. Yes, we do get it from time to time. Yes, you would see information pop, but scientifically, the scientific community, does not really think that it is that harmful to humans to warrant the total
eradication of use of it.
Yeah.
Let's take another call and then we come back and summarize. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, sir. Good morning to you guys. You said about opening your window to the fog come in, but do you have any data or any proof that fog kill any mosquito? Because really and truly, I don't think that thing kill anything. Have a nice day, brother.
All right, thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution there this morning. He was asking if there's any scientific data that the fog actually works.
Yes. When you fog, all what you need to do, so if you know that you have mosquitoes in your home, after the fog come in, look carefully. I guarantee you that you will see one or two mosquitoes knocked down. I could guarantee you. I have seen it because it happened at my home where I was living before. So I could tell you that. I have seen it. And I know of people, who has. So, yes.
We understand the concern. Some folks may feel, well, this fog is not working because maybe after the fog goes out, they may see they're still getting the bites and so forth.
But interestingly, GT, fogging is a last resort. And that's why we tell people, if you take care of the problem from inception, there will not be a need to fog. So the concerns that the people are having now about respiratory illness and so on, if you address the problem, right, from inception, that means you do not create conditions for mosquito breeding. We would have no need to fog. It's simple as that.
Let's entertain our final caller this morning. Caller, good morning and welcome. Good morning to you, caller.
And morning to your guests.
Go right ahead, caller. Go right ahead with your contribution, please.
One of the things that I notice is like when you fog, the most mosquito you ever see is when the fogging takes place. It's like it come out of nest. Whenever there's fog, you cannot rest when that night comes because it's real plentiful. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Oh, well, that's interesting.
Well, yeah, maybe that's a rare experience. I cannot really. People will have different experiences, but like I said, what I do know scientifically, and the evidence is there, and that's why. And if you look at some of the messages that we've put out, we very, very rare speak about fogging. We address source reduction because we know this is the most effective way of treating it. As we say, fogging is a last resort. And we keep getting calls right now, GT, for more fogging. As a matter of fact, let me break some news here to you. We are receiving 3 brand new foggers today from CAFA, which is going to help us to even broaden the scope of fogging to go into the different areas. Now, I will leave here to you the fogging schedule. Yesterday we were in Simon. Today we will be in Pearls and the environs, including Camp Raymond. Tomorrow, Thursday the 25th, we are going to be in the town of Grenville and the environs. Friday, we will be in, that's the 26th, Soubise and the environs. And Saturday, we will be in Carrier, Parklet, Dunfermline, Redmond, and we will go over to Mali and North Fortune. Now, you see what I said earlier, with St. Andrews being the epicenter of 60%? Yeah. For the last week and some, our efforts were concentrated in St. Andrew. That's because you have a lot of mosquito breeding up there, and we need to really control it. And that's what I'm saying again. So whereas you hear some people saying, well, this and that about fogging, they are calling for fogging because they didn't keep the mosquito under control. Now it is creating a problem for them, and they think that it is the ministry's responsibility now to intervene and knock down those mosquitoes for them when the source of the problem is in the yard and community.
All right. Keville, we shot for time. It's almost time for us to take a wrap this morning. Any final bit you want to throw out in terms of, folks just killing them, but, the measures that they should take in terms of preventing the mosquito breeding and dengue as a whole? Any final point you want to try before we take a wrap?
Thank you, GT. Yes, I want to encourage your listeners and viewers out there that they ought to be mindful that the problem lies within the domain, in that you clean your surroundings, you check roof gutterings, you check leaky pipes, and if your neighbor is not cleaning his or her place, report it to the ministry. Speak to them first. Mm-hmm. If they are ignoring you, report it to the ministry, because we have the power to intervene there. Go onto your premises and do what's necessary. Now, mosquitoes do glide. They are wind assisted. Mosquitoes can fly up to like about 100 plus meters, right? And of course, they are wind assisted because they will glide. So your neighbor's mosquito is your mosquito because it can fly from point A and come over in point B and bite you. So prevention is the key here. Please, we are appealing to you to check your homes, check your surroundings, get rid of all stagnant water, and check for breeding sites. Even trim shrubs, grass, bushes. In Broward County, where I did some studies a few years ago on mosquito prevention and messaging, the law is that your grass in your yard cannot be more than 3 inches tall. And it is for the purpose of controlling mosquito breeding. It cannot be more. Because you have inspectors who will pass around with a tip. Once it is more than that, they serve you a notice, you have to go and pay. And they don't tell you nothing. They either stick it on your lawn, push it in your mail or something, you get a notice, and they charge you, you have to go and pay that fine. So maybe, these kind of measures need to be implemented down here, because, as I said, GT, resources that can go elsewhere towards helping people. We're hearing calls about health and so on. If we could divert that resources in other areas of health, I think we would all be doing ourselves a big favor. So I want to end on that note and thank you yourself as well as the GBN's management for allowing us to use the medium to share with the Grenadian public the importance of keeping mosquito at bay to prevent or curb rather the increase in dengue right now, and ultimately to ensure that does not repeat itself.
All right. I want to thank you also, Keville. I hope that the next time we hear the stats, we hear a decrease because of the information being put out, folks. I hear to of course, the preventative measure that you mentioned, and I hear to it. And when the next time you go out and you receive your stats, folks have been listening, taking care of the water that's been settling around, of course, the empty containers they do have around their house. They've been, emptying it and covering it so that water doesn't settle. And we see a decrease in the numbers of dengue cases that we have. I want to thank thank you once again, and I want to thank all our listeners and viewers this morning. Thanks for being part of To The Point. Those of you who called, those of you who threw a message via our social media, I want to thank you a whole lot. Have yourself a great day. And as I will always say, be good to yourself and others. Have yourself a good one. That's what we say goodbye for To The Point for today. Have yourself a good one, folks, and goodbye.